manager, I think the most important thing is listening. Some community managers think that they're using a social platform or social networks and tools, and it's just another way to distribute content. And really, the most important thing about using these tools and networks and platforms is listening. Because if you're a community manager for a company, one of the most important things you can do is develop intelligence and understanding about what your customers like, what their needs are, what their problems are, if they have a problem, responding quickly and helping them so that they become a happy customer. Your mission as a company is to make your customers happy. So listening is key.
An excellent community manager, I think, is a combination of artists and scientists. So community managers that understand how to tactically take data and information and analyze the community, who's in it, what drives them, where they are, what that community health is. Plus, that really hard to capture aspect of then once you have all that data, what's the right way to cast what you say, when you say, how you say it, will really make that community work.
In my opinion, a great community manager is somebody that can properly liaise not just with the audience that they're engaging with online or at events, but could effectively speak the lingo and understand the business operations of their company. So somebody who could successfully translate what's going on inside the company and extend that out, and then grab the information that's going on out there and talk to the head of marketing as well as the head of HR, the head of customer service, and understand the business, not just the social part of it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I believe a great community manager is one who listens and most importantly takes action.
I think the important thing for any community is there's need to be entertainment, it's got to be engagement, and it's got to be educated. Some people are going there to find out more about the company or the product, but more than that, people want to be entertained. In general, people like working with people who are fun to be around. If you're not fun and entertaining, you're going to bore them, they'll walk away, and your community will not grow.
Community manager really needs to know their audience and really needs to have a great connection with people and great people skills. I really have, in my own past as a community manager, found that relating to people and creating stories that people can relate to makes for great content and a great way to connect with your audience.
Well, in my business, I'm a market researcher, and my business is to understand people, understand the motivations of people. And I think that's not dissimilar to what a community manager has to do. And I think one attribute that my field and the community manager position shares, the most important attribute I can think of is curiosity. I think I'm genuinely curious about people's motivations. And I think if you're genuinely curious and you want to know why people use the product, why they had that problem, why they're engaging in a behavior that you're interested in, you generally want to know that, then your responses to them are going to be much better than if you have a bunch of canned responses that you're trying to drive down the pipe. So I think curiosity is a magnificent skill, not just for community managers, but in life.
First of all, I think if you want to manage a community, there's a couple of things that immediately come to mind. Aside from having and needing the tools to be able to do that job, what do I mean by the tools? Well, you need to be mobile. In today's world, when someone is reaching out to a brand, and that brand just happens to be quite possibly the community or something, the person that's reaching out is no longer thinking or wanting that person face to face. Where the person reaching out to that community, the community manager, the brand, this is where we are seeing the person. So when I'm reaching out and I'm engaging with someone, I have you in the palm of my hand. So one of the first tools that I would say a community manager needs to have is you need to have the tools. You need to have whatever is needed within arm's reach to constantly know what is going on. Think of the community that you manage as your own house. The worst thing you want is to have someone else come and tell you what's going on within your own house. So the tools would be a very valuable thing. The second thing that I would tell you is that to a certain degree you need to have the personality that fits the brand and that fits the community. Because the biggest thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need people to get to know the face behind the logo, the brand, or the community that you represent. And if those two aren't in sync, you're going to have a little bit of an issue. And I'm not to necessarily say that there's one, two, or three things, but another thing that comes to mind with regards to a great, or making the difference between a great and an awesome community manager, is a person that trusts their instincts. Granted, depending on your particular situation, there may or may not be red tape, proof posts, or things like that. But there's times where you're going to have to make real-time decisions, and those real-time decisions based on a reply or something that your community needs has to come from instincts that you trust. You have to trust yourself as a community manager to be able to represent that community and to be able to provide value back to the members of your community.
You know what? I really don't, because I'm always looking to see who's doing what out there. I think probably when it comes to Scott is always fun to watch with Ford and what he's doing. But I really don't have any one favorite. I mean, lately I've been watching Jessica Northey, with the country music chat and all that stuff she's doing. Gets so much conversation going there. Anybody who's entertaining is the one who I'm going to watch and have as a favorite.
The person, my go-to guy that I always look for when it comes to community management is definitely Tim McDonald. We recently gave him up to New York, part of our original family from Social Media Club in Chicago, so he's always been my CMGR guy.
Like Megan Barrett from formerly of Cloud. Yep. She was pretty, she engages a lot. She gets back to you pretty quickly, so
unsurprisingly, I'm a huge fan of Warby Parker generally, but I think they do a great job in social as well, just managing that community and really being on top of who's talking about them, what they're saying. Also really paying attention to not just what's happening right now, but paying attention to the history of the conversation as well. I think they just do a super job.
Man, there are a ton of them in this industry. Dana White just keynoted today at New Media Expo, and I think their community manager is great. He's the president of the company, and actually, he's like the ultimate community manager. He's the leader of the company, and he's the figurehead of one of the top sports organizations in the world. And he responds to questions and problems and has conversations with people on social networks, including Twitter. And so I'd say it's not officially his title, but he's my favorite community manager because he engages the community just like a great community manager.
Yes, I do. Actually, a couple of guys that manage the Audi account over at M80, which is their digital agency, Paul Myers and Andy, they are rock stars. They're rock stars. They have done some amazing things for Audi, and one of my favorites.
I love the community management team behind JetBlue, actually. And it's funny, I fly a ton of JetBlue. I'm a Mosaic member, which is 50 segments or whatever. Travel is sometimes bumpy. And sometimes I praise JetBlue, sometimes I have a problem with JetBlue, sometimes I have a detailed problem with JetBlue, and sometimes I just need to bitch. And their community management team never seems to me to have like a bunch of canned responses, but engage with me at the level that the emotional response that I had appears to warrant. Whether that's a specific go to this desk and ask them about this, and ask them about this problem, or have you tried this, to a simple thank you for flying, to hey, we know about that, we're looking into it. And I think the greatest thing they ever did, I had a really bad experience on a flight once that, not necessarily JetBlue's fault, but it was on JetBlue, and I tweeted about it. Not only, and I think this is such an appropriate response, they didn't tweet it in public, they didn't retweet me, they didn't tweet me back. Somehow they figured out how to call me on the phone. They called me on the phone, and I talked to a person, and that person said, hey, we read about this, we really want to know about it. So they sort of gauge, they triage the level of the response. They respond appropriately, and I think that's a magnificent response. So I'm a big fan of JetBlue.
Well, my opinion is somebody who I've worked with as a community manager and has done incredible things for me, and that's Brandy McCallum. It's at Little Ways on Twitter. She's the perfect example of somebody who doesn't try and be a social celebrity. She understands the role of connecting people and understanding the nature of what I do and what my business does, and making sure that I'm working with the right people. So she puts herself in the background and allows the company to shine. And I love that.
Yeah, I usually don't know them all by name because I usually interact with brands, but the person who runs Rackspace is a fantastic one. The litmus of that is that one time I just asked, how quick can you respond to like a tweet, and the response was 11 seconds later.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that was actually one really good example. Another good example is Sheldon for you guys. He's always responsive whenever I have a question or I have a new discovery about Sysomos. He's always there to listen, even after hours, and I know he's like 4 hours or so, 3 hours or so away from me, so he's always listening, even at night, and I think that's exactly what's important.
Perfect.
For a community manager.
Not bad looking either.
No comment.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Joe.
You're welcome.
Cheers.